Recently, you were asked to read my 5-paragraph theme by Edward M. White. We had discussed that this was a satire, and just as a reminder, a satire is the use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize an issue. So, in other words, you're using language to be a mockery or a ridicule of a topic or issue. And so this entire essay was supposed to do that. Be ironic, an exaggeration. It was supposed to ridicule or mock what people do. And in this case, the topic would be a 5-paragraph essay. So as Edward White was writing this, he was being very repetitive. He had indicated that generally, as a student, he loves the 5-paragraph essay. It restricts his writing. It forces him to stay within this certain box. He's not able to think creatively. He's not able to continue his thoughts on anything because it would just make the paper longer, and who wants to write a longer paper? He's being very sarcastic in his writing. The tone is obviously to ridicule the 5-paragraph essay. If you think about education and the purpose behind it, and specifically writing, it's to allow someone to express their ideas fully, to identify everything it is that they would want to say about a topic, to fully explain something, to help an audience better understand what the writer believes. And so when he says it keeps you from thinking too much, and that's a great time saver, especially on an essay test, well, sure, it's a great time saver, but think about restricting one's thoughts. If you're really wanting to convey a certain message about something, would you really want to be restricted in your thoughts, or for somebody to tell you that you're not allowed to express those? So he goes on to talk about how you could really use this formula for anything. And that's true. Some of you indicated in your reflections that you love the 5-paragraph essay. It gives you an opportunity to see how exactly a paper should be written. Well, I want to challenge your thoughts on that. Because in looking at your organization for a 5-paragraph essay, you're right. It does provide an outline for what it is that you're supposed to do. You're supposed to have some kind of thesis, and that's going to go in your introductory paragraph, and then you have your 3 ideas of what you're going to speak about in your 3 body paragraphs, and then you write a conclusion. Simple enough. But what makes writing good is that ACE strategy: the answer, cite, and explain or expand. Now with ACE strategy, no matter what it is that you're responding to, a written prompt, a question, anything, you're going to answer or convey a certain idea, and that would be your thesis. You need to cite evidence for whatever it is that you're talking about. If it's something that you've done research for, then your evidence comes from your research. If it's something that you are just responding to with a prompt for like the SAT or the ACT, then more than likely you're going to use either personal experience or you're going to use whatever literature they've provided. Now that being said, that's just good writing. You're backing up your certain ideas. And then your explanation of those ideas tell us, the reader, why you've written what you've written and why your support is good enough. It's like asking your parents for permission for you to do something. Chances are you're not going to give your weakest support for the reason why you want to do it. If you want to go to senior week after you graduate, you're probably not going to say, just because. You're going to use all these other explanations as to why they should allow you to go. You're probably even going to throw in some statistics that nothing's ever happened to your friends, so why would it happen to you? Anything that's going to get them to buy into your side. That's good writing. That's good communication. The 5-paragraph essay gives you a good outline for those things. That's true. You definitely need an introduction, your thesis as the last line of that introduction. You need body paragraphs, and you need a conclusion. But the transition to or from the 5-paragraph essay isn't really that difficult, because all you need to do is add your additional body paragraphs in. And so if you have another idea that you want to add to fully convey a message, then you do that. You simply bring it over. And so you don't want to limit anything, because the more information and support you have, the better it becomes. You might even find that as you plan your writing or as you continue to write, if you're one of those people who works backwards and you'd rather write first and then, go back and make sure you have everything you need second, that's okay. But you might find in your process of writing that even your thesis has changed. And so maybe what you once thought your paper was going to be, it's taking a different route this time. And that's okay. Writing will always be a process. I know that we all want to do well in writing, but we have to understand that we're not at the level of perfection. No one is. It's the reason why professional writers still have editors and publishers, other people to check their work, to make sure that they've done things correctly, to make sure that they're being understood by an audience. And so when you're planning to write your essay, try to think outside of the 5-paragraph box, because we don't want to be restricted in our thoughts. We don't want to be limited to a certain perspective. Not to mention, if something doesn't need to fit into the 5-paragraph format, maybe you can convey a certain message in 2 paragraphs or 3 paragraphs. Then that should be fine as well. Do not stick to the 5-paragraph essay because that's what you think people want to read. It's boring. As you read here, it's repetitive. It's lower level. It does not convey any particular message aside from, I've been made to write this paper. And so think outside of the 5 paragraphs. Make your paragraphs shorter, add some style, do something differently. But whatever you do, try to figure out what it is that you're going to convey in your thesis, and then write your support, because all good essays have support and understanding and allow the reader to get the whole picture, not something that's cut short because you've been limited by a 5-paragraph essay. So the next time you sit down to write, think creatively, organize your thoughts, and just start writing and see where it takes you. That's going to be a paper I want to read.